What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Mayrand podcast. Today, my guest is Alex Bellemare. Alex is a good friend and also an incredible skier. He's been one of the most dominant freestyle skier of the past decade, getting podiums at X Games, Do Tour, World Cups, and even going to the Olympics. Alex and I talked for so long that I'll be splitting the episode in two parts. For the first part, we talk about growing up in a small town in Québec, falling in love with skiing, being influenced by people like JP Auclair and Phil Casabon, dominating the Quebec scene for multiple years and eventually making a name for himself and hopping on the world stage, filming with Level 1 Productions and competing in Do Tour and X Games. It was really great chatting with Alex and I hope you enjoy it. Big thank you to this episode's sponsors, Access Boardshop, Treefort Lifestyles, Dic Anns Restaurant, J Skis, and Planks Clothing. Let's go. Mr. Bellemare, welcome to the podcast.
Hey man, thanks for having me.
What's up with you?
Nothing much. We're in the Chic Chuck, filming for the project for 2021.
Tell me a bit about what you're up to in the Chic Chucks. You brought out BC Bellemare?
Yeah, actually no. It's a huge bummer, but the trip was planned for a while and we just showed up and it was unfortunately 1 degree outside when everything that was in the sky decided to fall down, and it came down as rain instead of snow. So there's not much snow right now. So BC Bellemare is just kicking it back, and Urban Bellemare is still hustling.
Still alive and well.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we get to do an episode because there's a lot of stuff that I want to talk to you about. Shall we get back to the beginning of everything?
For sure, I'm down. Hopefully I can remember everything accurately, but yeah, for sure.
So you grew up in Shawinigan, Quebec?
Yeah, Saint Boniface. It's right beside.
Around in the same area, let's say?
Yeah.
How did skiing start for you?
I was 6 years old and my dad got me and my brother on a pair of skis for the first time. And so we had ski lessons. And I remember my first day on hill, I thought it was kind of easy. I was able to just ski down, but I wasn't able to turn or stop. And so I started at the top of the bunny hill, and I just went straight for the ditch and couldn't stop or anything, so I ended up eating shit. And then I cried a lot, and I was going to give up, but my dad paid for the lessons for like a whole week or something or whatever. And so I had to finish them, and that's how I didn't quit skiing.
So by the end of those lessons, you were hooked?
Yeah. I got this little thingamajig at the tip of my skis so I could do the pizza. And then from that point on, I was able to control my speed and figure it all out from there.
So you didn't grow up in a big ski family, right?
Not really. Like my dad could ski and then my mom never skied. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But we weren't like this crazy ski family who goes skiing every weekend and plans a bunch of trips and all that.
Yeah, and Shawi is not like, you're not living next to Whistler.
Yeah, no, it's not a ski town at all. It's just this little resort, and it's fun to get to ski over there, but it's nothing crazy.
So what was your childhood, and I know what your teen years look like, but what was your childhood skiing with your brother, I guess, a lot? I grew up on a farm. My dad had this little farm and my uncle had this really big farm. So like I did a bunch of those like, I don't know, like cool adventure like things that kids get to do, like playing in the mud and like hanging around tractors and cows and all that. So it was super fun. And then there was skiing obviously every night. But like I'd say what I remember most about my youth is when I spent my summers just like hanging out on the farm and like the adults were all working, like doing or making hay bales and all those. And that's where my name comes from, actually, my Instagram name. But yeah, so like, and they were just working and we would be playing around everywhere and just, yeah, those were like, that's what I remember from my youth. Good times.
Yeah, for sure. The best.
First time you went into skiing was your dad paid for some classes?
Yeah.
Then what did it look like for the next couple of years for you?
So my dad got me ski lessons. I did those, and then he went skiing with me probably for a year. And I got the hang of it super fast. And I think I was like 7 or maybe 8 years old. And I was already going skiing by myself at night. My mom would just drop me off and I'd get to ski all night. I'd have to stop at like 8:45 or 9 because I had school the next day and all that. And she always gave me like $3 and I got a slushie and like a bag of candies, and that would just be my little routine. And so yeah, that was like me going skiing by myself, or my brother was there sometimes also, but he had basketball, so he wasn't always there. And then I did my first competition when I was 9 years old. I did a straight air and I won, which was dope. And it was in Tremblant, and then I got lost. I ended up on the other face of the mountain, and I couldn't get back to like the face I was supposed to be on. And so I won the contest, and my dad was just at the prize ceremony, and they called my name, but I never showed up, and he was like, "Oh shit."
So did they call the ski patrol?
No. So I was crying, and I went to the lifty because I told them I was lost and I couldn't get back to where I needed to be. And so they like called my dad's name on the intercom or whatever, and so that's how we reunited. Yeah.
So first competition, what was it, like a big air, I guess?
Yeah, it was a big air, and so I did a mute grab. I did 2 mute grabs, and I think we were only 2 in the contest, and this other guy was like, "Hey man, should we do a 360?" And I was like, "Okay, sure, yeah, we should do it." But he was going first, and I saw him do the 360, and because he was scared of doing it, he kind of speed checked more and didn't go as fast, ended up knuckling and eating shit. And then I just didn't do it. Wow. Did a straight air and got first prize.
Snaked him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I kind of chickened out.
Wow. You got really quick into park skiing.
Yeah, that's all I really wanted to do. Like, I never got into racing, never did moguls or anything. I really just learned how to ski, and then I was trying to hit every little side booter that I could find. And I remember I did my first 540 on this super sketchy like jump that the older kids had built, and there was like somewhat of a powder landing, and I didn't even have twin tips, so I just did a 5, and then I like backslapped and ate shit. So I thought it was rad though.
So never tried snowboarding either?
I've done it for fun later on, but it wasn't something I tried when I was a kid. I never hesitated between skiing or snowboarding. I just started skiing because my dad showed me, and then I could get around the mountain super easily, so I figured I'd stick with that. It was fun.
What were your influences getting into the park scene? Was it like, there's some people that say, oh, they watched the first Poor Boys movie or something, a Matchstick movie, and they get hooked and they want to do the same thing. For you, was it just like riding your hometown and loving skiing?
Yeah, at first that's what it was, but then I saw B-Dog. I don't remember when exactly. I don't know like when was the first time I saw him skiing around, but we come from the same resort. So I saw him, and then I started looking up to that guy because he was super good on skis, obviously. And I remember like there was this little flat bar that they set up at the beginning of the year, and I couldn't slide rails at that time. I was probably 8 years old, maybe 9. And so I just gapped the whole rail too flat. And I remember Phil like saw that, and he was like, "Yeah, it's sick, dude." Like, and so I looked up to him a lot when I was younger, like, cause he was really the good guy on the hill, like the good skier.
And at that time you were 9, so that must have been funny, like 9-year-old Alex and 12-year-old Phil.
Yeah,
shredding the park.
Yeah, he was wearing this Lycus coat. It was like snow camo, and then he ended up selling it to me like 2 years later, and I was so hyped because I looked like B-Dog on the hill.
So you did your first comp at 9 years old?
Mm-hmm.
What was the follow-up for you?
At 9 years old, I could only ski jumps. I couldn't really hit rails, so that's why I was gapping them. And then the year after that, there was this rail contest at the same resort. I ended up doing that, but I was the only guy doing it, so I won, obviously, but I still couldn't really slide rails. I just kissed the rail. It was 9, 10 years old, so I was the only guy in that age category, so I won. And then I did the big air contest, and every year there was those contests for this age category. That was super, like, it was really cool for like young kids to not be competing against like this 15 or 16-year-olds. Mm-hmm. So I always did those, and I basically won all of them. And so I enjoyed competing at that point, and yeah.
And now it's time for a first sponsor break. Dic Anns is a family-owned restaurant chain with 12 locations in the Montreal region, and I'm really stoked to have them as a sponsor. If you've never been, you have got to try it out. Their one-of-a-kind hamburgers have been favorites of mine since I was a kid. They've started selling products like their legendary sauce, and they have a lot more coming out soon, so be on the lookout for that. Support companies that support skiing. Support Dic Anns restaurants. It's fun when you do a competition and you know you're going to win going in.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it kind of sucks when you're the only guy in the contest, but it's fun to enter a contest when you know you've got chances of taking home the gold for sure.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that happened is there was a destructor camp in my home resort, and Phil told me about it. And so obviously me and my brother, we signed up, and then we ended up skiing with all the destructor pros back in the day. So there was JP Auclair and Ionic B. And I think Phil Bellemare was probably there too. And so that's where I really learned how to slide rails. And that's where I met JP for the first time, who saw my super beat up Salomon 1080s, or were they 1080s? I think it might have been a different name for the junior ski. Anyways, it was super beat up. Like, it had rivets in the tip and all that to keep it from not falling apart. And so he hooked me up with a pair of Armadas just out of pure kindness. And then he kept sending me Armada skis ever since that day, every year, just because, I don't know, I guess he thought I was good, and he was just a nice guy.
That's so dope.
Yeah, I was so hyped when I was young, and he'd send me emails too of trips he was doing with Orage. I remember he sent me this sequence of him hitting this down, flat, down ledge, and it wasn't even released, and he just sent them to me on email, and I got to see them all before everybody. So I was hyped as hell.
That's so dope. He was so how long did that last of him? Because you got to a point eventually where you were on the Armada team, officially.
Yeah.
How long did it last, him hooking you up?
I think he sent me 2 or 3 pairs of skis, and then we kind of stopped exchanging emails, and I wouldn't really know what he was up to, and I just got on the Armada team at that point. And so yeah, so I think from probably 11 years old to 13 or maybe 14 years old, I was kind of chatting and getting behind the scenes and free skis.
So that was kind of your first sponsor?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then he also got me a little hookup with Orage. And oh yeah, another story I just remembered. So he got me a little hookup with Orage, and then so one day I just get this email. It's hey Alex, we have this Orage photo shoot at Mount Orford, and we'd like for you to go and just wear the clothes, and you'll probably be in the magazine and all that. I was okay, sure, that sounds amazing. And so I go to the hill. The photo shoot started at 8:30 or 9, so I got up super early because I'm very far away from that resort. And we get there, and I'm fuck, Dad, I forgot my boots. And then we just rented boots, and they were super sketchy, and I was hitting this down bar, and the photographer ended up being Chris O'Connell, which would later become my team manager slash Chris O'Connell, that I was on a bunch of ski trips with, and ended up taking a bunch of pictures later on. But so yeah, so then OC's behind the camera, and I'm hitting this down bar, and he's just getting his angle, and I'm just oh no, he's gonna shoot my back. So then he's I start hitting the rail right foot forward, and he's you think you could hit it left foot forward? And I was probably 12 or 13, so I just learned how to hit rails, and I couldn't hit it left foot forward. And I ended up telling him no, and he probably thought that I sucked at that point, but whatever.
You think he was just messing with you?
I mean, it's something he would do for sure, but I don't think so. I think he really liked his ankle better.
Did you tell them that you forgot your boots?
Oh yeah, for sure. Of course I did. I had to
own up.
Yeah, give a reason for sucking. Super young, trying to hit a rail, and nothing was right at that moment. I remember the pants were super tight too. I was not hyped on that.
Skinny pants Alex with rented boots.
Yeah, I just felt super sketchy at 8:30 in the morning, just still asleep. Yeah, it was whack.
So closing off that shoot, were you stoked or just bummed of?
Honestly, dude, I don't even remember. I remember that was a memorable moment of forgetting my boots and OC asking me to hit it on that. But I don't remember how it ended. I don't remember saying bye. I don't remember if the pictures ever got published or anything. Like, I don't remember anything after that. But
crazy how the memory works. Like,
yeah,
you remember
sure.
like the big thing that is,
Yeah.
I forgot my boots. The rest is blurry.
Yeah, true. Yeah, the two shitty moments are there forever.
So after that, like, as you said, at that shoot, you were what, like 12, 13?
I think I was 12, maybe 13, yeah.
I think we first met, you probably were like 15, 16. And for maybe 4 years before you got pro, you were just dominating every competition in Quebec. Like, if there was a competition, it was most likely you that were going to win.
Well, yeah, I had good odds. But for sure, me and my brother, we ended up every weekend there was a contest back in the days. It was so fun. And so we just drove around in my dad's Jetta that was diesel, so it was less expensive for gas. And me and my brother, every weekend we just chased the contest. And I did basically end up on the podium at every contest. And so it was just like, for me, it was amazing because I was making a bunch of money. I was having fun. And yeah, I made a name for myself and I made money at the same time. So it was super dope. I was super young too. I was probably the richest, like 15-year-old.
Yeah, because some competitions had some big checks, like the Axis Slopestyle or Texas Hold'em. You won like $3,000.
Yeah, I think there was 2 Gs for Texas and Axis Slopestyle probably also. But yeah, like some of them were 2 Gs or 1,000, or like even if I ended up second, it was $500. And I remember I was making like $7,000 to $8,000 a year just in just one winter, just doing like 7 or 8 contests. It was like pretty dope.
What were you doing with all that money?
I was older than my friends, so I was the first one with a car. So I bought a Toyota Tercel for way too much money. I remember doing that, and then me and the boys just ended up driving around in my shit car.
Yeah, and Tercel is not that fancy.
No, it was a super shitty car, but my grandma had one, and I don't know why, but I was like, oh my God, I love this car, Mom. I'm going to have that when I'm older. When I was young, I told her that. And so I really wanted one, and it turned out I love drifting that car in parking lots and stuff. It was super fun. It was just this little like go-kart. It was great.
And another thing that you did also, which I think is really what put your name out there, was filming ski movies. Because local events, if you were at the event or if you were in the Quebec scene, you knew about Alex Bellemare.
Yeah.
But for the broader ski industry, I think it was really your segments with ESK back in the days.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I don't remember how I met the ESK guys, but I remember knowing them at one point. And the first year that I filmed with those guys was for affiliates. I think I must have known some of the riders that were filming with ESK from the contest scene. And then we went to like this resort one day and ended up filming with those guys because they were there. And I remember at the end of the year, we filmed this urban seg in like 2 weekends because everything was like melting, but it went super well. It was super efficient. We got a bunch of shots super quickly. And from that point on, it was like every year they were making a movie, and every year I was definitely trying to get some shots with those guys. And I think it helped a lot too, because I remember I got a best am.
IF3 in 2009 was at the pinnacle of like what it meant to the ski industry.
Yeah.
So getting that was really a big statement.
Yeah, for sure.
If
I think so too.
An amateur company won best amateur film, then for the following year they were in the pro category.
Oh, really?
So it was like, I think maybe it was that year also, or maybe the year later, ESK won best amateur movie.
Right.
And then the year after that, they were like against Level 1 and Poor Boys and everything. So it was like, okay. But yeah, anyways, you win Rookie of the Year, which is like a big statement of like, he's the next up and coming guy.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, I think that really put your name out there.
Yeah, I think so too. You're right. I kind of forgot about all that.
And then to add up to that segment that was really good is you used a lot of those shots to put out your Super Unknown that the following year was in the finalist.
Well, the ESK guy just built my Super Unknown, so he reused everything, recycled them all.
And now it's time for a second sponsor break. Planks is a British outerwear brand founded in the French Alps. Yeah, you can ski in the UK, but you probably wouldn't. But these guys are still passionate about skiing, and as someone from Quebec, I definitely relate to that. They don't just make high quality, good looking gear that's affordable.
They care about the free ski culture too, running grassroots events and sporting skiers that are some of my favorites like Woodsy, Lupe Haggerty, and the Real Skiffy crew. Make sure to check them out at planksclothing.com. Support companies that support skiing. Support Planks Clothing.
Like, what was the big step up for you between being kind of a local in Quebec doing competitions versus stepping up to the next level? Was it like getting some attention from your segments like we just talked about, or?
Yeah, it kind of, I don't know, it kind of happened all at once and on its own, really. So, like, there was the IF3, I got Rookie of the Year. And then I feel like it really just popped off when I got done with high school. And I told my parents I was going to spend one winter in Colorado at Breck. So I signed up for college for the fall semester. And then I ended up, I knew that I was going to go skiing, so I gave up on that and just hung out in the Tercel during all my classes because I couldn't hang out at home. And then winter came around, and my dad figured out I dropped out of college, and he was bummed because he bought books and all that for no reason. And because I was dropping out of college too. They didn't really believe in the skiing thing because it was pretty far-fetched. Like, yeah, I'm going to be a pro skier. I'll make money like that. Just watch. And they were like, oh, God, what are we going to do?
Did they ever tell you that they were unsure, or you just felt it?
No, they told me later, like after, like when I was starting to get deals, like sponsors, Rockstar and all that, they were all like, holy crap, like you're making it, you're doing it. Like we didn't really believe you'd like actually make a living out of that. So, but in the moment they didn't tell me. They weren't going to shatter my dreams. They were probably just going to, if it was going to happen, they'd let me figure it out myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah. So then I went to CO for the year, and that was probably the best winter of my life. I was skiing the best park I had ever ridden. Every trick was easier over there. And then I was learning tricks on the jumps, like, almost every day, just, like, having so much more airtime than the, like, shitty little jumps from Quebec.
And at that point, doubles were getting really popular.
Yeah, they were getting noticed.
And you were at a level where you were ready. Like, you had learned what you needed to learn in Quebec doing switch stands and stuff like that. And then it was like you were at the point to do doubles, but you didn't have the playground to learn them.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, I had already learned a dub 10 at Whistler during summer at COC. Just super random. I just tried, and I figured, like, what if I dip my head like this and just tuck? And that's where I learned the dub 10. And then I learned a switch dub 10 at Wendell's one other summer. I'm forgetting so much stuff. I thought that we went through everything, but then I'm just remembering
I think
trips.
We skipped a year, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm remembering
you
trips.
went to Breck, because I remember because we filmed together in 2011. But in 2010, you already started, like, that was the first time you learned some kangs at Bromont.
Yeah.
And
actually, I did my first kang at Valley du Parc on the jump at the end.
Damn.
Like, yeah, it was super tight, but I remember it was like just popped it super hard. I was doing a bunch of rodeo threes, and I was just like, fuck it, I'm doing it. It's springtime. Popped it super hard and stomped it, and that was maybe the first dub at the resort ever, dude.
Probably.
Yeah, probably, dude.
So first kang in 2010 at VDP.
Yeah.
Then in the summer you go to COC and Wendell's, and then you progress again.
Yeah, exactly. Now, yeah, you're right. So there was this summer where I was hanging out in Whistler with I was living with B. Paul and Frank JP, and then I had 1 week at Wendell's because it was Armada week, and that's where I learned switched up 10 with Mute.
How important in your progression were those summers of going to Whistler?
Oh, so important. Well, actually, the ones in Whistler were not as effective in making me a better skier, because all I do is try and get onto the summer camps, but I couldn't because I didn't really have a name still. So I was still just a nobody, and the summer camps were like, oh, yeah, sorry, we don't have a pass for you. Sorry. So I remember one year I went to Whistler and I just skied the public park the whole summer for a whole month. It sucked. And then, but the Wendell's I remember was so like super helpful because that jump was huge, and like I wasn't even scared of trying to switch up 10 because I was like, wow, dude, I'm doing a switch 5 and I have so much time. I'm just gonna hold on to the grab and see what happens.
So you weren't stressed trying your first switch dubs?
I don't Like, I don't remember being stressed about that. No, like I think I was just feeling it, and I was young and I wasn't scared. I knew the trick was possible, and I knew like if I just set it that way and kept the grab, it was probably going to land on my feet.
Like the complete opposite of overthinking.
Yeah, complete opposite of me today. Yep, exactly. I ate shit a couple times in between, so
yeah.
Now I look at it from a different angle.
So after that summer, you go to not Whistler but Breckenridge, Colorado for the whole winter, and that's really a winter where things lined up for you.
I spent the winter in Colorado, and I think I had just done the super unknown, and I got runner up. So level 1 like knew that I existed, and then I was getting bigger with Armada. Like I had went to Windell's, and I remember we were doing this sunset shoot, and OC was like, anybody want to do a rodeo 5? And I was like, hey, I'll do it. And then I ended up doing probably like 10 because he just really wanted to get that shot, the good one. And I always did the trick again. Like I never complained, and I think they liked that. Armada, he liked that. So then I was getting bigger with those guys, and he hooked it up with level 1, and I got a email asking me if I wanted to go spend a week in Edmonton with Parker and Ian Compton, and Decker was filming.
An email, that's really official.
Yeah, I didn't have a phone in those days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Bishop ended up buying me. Bishop was the Armada rep. He ended up buying me a phone because I was so hard to get in touch with. Like I'd be like in some airport lost, and the only way to communicate with people was to open up my laptop, connect to the internet, and Skype call. So yeah, he got me his little flip phone.
Your move to go to Colorado for the winter was really personal, of like just enjoying skiing. Like you didn't have set plans of filming or competing, or
no, that would be an absolute lie. I was definitely like trying to get a ski career at that point, and I was doing everything that I could to like up my ski career. So like I wasn't expecting I ended up filming the whole year and doing all that, but I was for sure like expecting to get something out of whether it was like learning tricks or
I remember your whole crew were all like, you stayed longer, but for like a month the whole group was there and everyone was like trying to learn dubs.
Yeah.
Yan, Ben, yourself, your bro, even like I remember
Emil.
Emil was like 14 throwing kangs.
Oh yeah, Emil was there.
Dude, Emil was like a little ball.
Yeah, of course he was.
That was crazy. Like
in
in freeway with like the humongous jump, and you just see the little ball flipping twice.
Yeah.
Crazy. You get that email from level 1. What's your reaction?
I was not bummed. But I was a little like stressed and anxious, and also like I was having such a good time in CO, just lapping the park and waking up at like 10, going to ski at 10:30 or 11, ski like a little bit in the morning, like don't wake up too early, ski the afternoon, get back home and just hang out with the boys. So I was definitely a little like anxious with all that, but of course I seized the opportunity. Like part of me was scared, but part of me was super hyped, and I figured that was it. It was like my chance.
How did that trip go in Edmonton?
Super well. So I got there, and the guys had already built the like fence gap into the parking lot, that huge jump that ended up being on the cover of the movie. So that was already built. So the guys had already been there for a day, I think, and they scoped everything. So we already had like a bunch of spots lined up.
Was that your first spot? The fence gap?
No, the first spot was the 4 Pretz too.
Okay. Well, still.
Yeah.
But I was about to say the Rodeo 5 as a first spot is like, fuck, that's so crazy.
No, it was the 4 Pretz too. I think it made just as good of an impression. So, yeah, I ended up doing a 2 onto that rail. And when I saw the rail, I was like, man, if I can 2 onto switch on that thing, I'll be so stoked. And I 2 onto switch after like 5 tries. And then I was like, oh, shit, what am I going to do now? And I was already good at doing 4-ons, and I was like, oh shit, what if I try this? Let's see if it could work. And I ended up giving it all that I had, dude. I tried so many times, and like I don't know, it just happened one time. I locked on it and I was sliding till the end, and I didn't plan on doing the Pretz too, but it just came spontaneously, and it worked out perfect. Yeah, I was hyped as hell. And then I was so bummed. Right after, the guys were like, yeah, so what spot are we doing tonight? And I was so exhausted, dude. I was beat. And I told Sayo, who was the photographer, I was like, dude, like, do you think we could go back to the hotel and like nap a bit or something? Because I'm feeling super weird right now. And I remember I felt so shitty because I was just like sprinting, just giving it all that I had. And then as soon as I got the shot, everything just crashed. And so we went back to the hotel, napped, and then hit another spot at night. I was dead. I didn't get a shot.
And now it's time for another sponsor break. Axis Boardshop is a ski and snowboard shop based out of Saint-Sauveur, Québec, Canada. They've been in business since 2002 and have supported skiing since day one. From sponsoring numerous athletes to putting on competitions to helping out movie productions, they've done it all. Axis is the core board shop, and they've got everything that you might need this season. Check them out at axisboutique.com or go check out their shop in Saint-Sauveur. Support companies that support skiing. Support Axis Board Shop.
That 4-on, was it a battle?
Yeah, the biggest battle. Like,
okay.
I did so many times, and it was so much energy trying to do the 4-on without having your tips catch onto the rail that, like, every single time you try the rail, you're popping as hard as you can, and you're, like, just so much energy mentally and physically. So
yeah, and I think on the shot, like, we see your hat go up in the air as you're giving so much torque.
Yeah, and I remember my hat kept falling off almost every time, and so I kept picking it up, and it was full of snow, and my hair was like wet, and my head was cold, and it was just like, oh man, a real battle.
That's such a good start to your level 1 segment, like getting your first clip, because that shot is like, I think I say that a lot, but it's all time.
Yeah, thanks,
like,
man.
You'd do that in 2021 and you'd still be stoked.
Yeah, true. I think it'd still be cool on a wooden rail too.
Wooden down rail. How long is it? Like, maybe I don't know. 70 feet?
Yeah, maybe? I don't know. It was the longest.
4-on pretzel.
Yeah.
I think we'd go there now and you'd be like, dude, I don't want to land the 4-on and cut.
Yeah, I don't think I'd try that today. You're right. The rest of the trip, there's nothing memorable. There was the Rodeo 5, but that wasn't as much of a battle. I think I did it like 4 or 5 times, and it was really just like, shit, I don't know if I can land this. Like, I don't know if I have enough muscles.
How does a crazy spot like that come to mind? Like, because it's a big jump, you gap a fence, but like, it's more of like just going super far and landing to dead flat.
Yeah.
Is it like Decker seeing it? Like, or is it you guys being like, hey, I think we should jump to flat?
For that one, I don't know, actually. I just showed up and the wedge was already built, and there was a winch in the car, and everyone was like, well, you guys want to hit that? It's there. And so I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. There's a big jump. Like, of course we're going to hit it. At that time, I didn't care at all about what my knees would say. And so I don't know why we hit it to flat, though. That's super dumb, but that's what it was. Like, that's what made the shot, like, gangster. That's what we wanted it to look like back in the days.
On one side, it's what I think about is it's a plan for you guys to try it 100 times and not land it.
Yeah, for sure. You're right.
It's not only the factor of getting hurt, it's the factor of if you put a bit of landing, it'll help a lot, but you still went for it. PY did a front flip, and you did a Rodeo 5.
Yeah.
Both shots are crazy.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. And I don't know how PY landed forward, actually, and he was just the best guy for front flips, but I think I probably straight aired it once, and then I never wanted to land forward again because you end up like backslapping or something. I'd rather land switch when it's a big impact.
Do you have any other memorable spots from that trip?
We hit this huge down flat down that I think Compton ended up getting, but I cut an edge on the flat and almost hit my head on one of the support beams for the rail. So that sucked. And then
I think I saw a shot. There's a down rail, long down rail where you do a K-fed.
Unnetty K-fed, yeah.
Yeah. And if you look closely, it's such a sketchy setup.
Yeah,
because the drop-in ramp is on the highway.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's maybe 5 feet of snow of like a snow pile. Maybe it snowed a couple days before and there's a snow pile. And your drop-in ramp is on the highway on the snow pile.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, dude, like that didn't even like phase me back in the days. Like I didn't even notice that. I just saw this long down rail and I was like, oh man, I could like hop on that thing like left foot forward and that would be like on that trick. Cool. I'm gonna have one of those in my segments. I didn't even think about the fact that the highway's right there and like cars are passing by, and what if I like put my ski wrong and slide backwards? I die. But no, I didn't even think about that.
It requires that mindset of like tuning off.
Yeah.
Or like not being tuned on.
Yeah, I think it helped for sure.
That segment really skyrocketed your career, or like
I think so.
A lot of people still to this day, when like they see you, they say, oh man, I loved your segment in Afterdark, or like it's kind of your I don't know, like for Tom Wallish.
I don't know the word either, but yeah.
For Tom Wallish, it's a super unknown,
yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
For you, it's like the Afterdark segment.
Yeah, true. No, you're right. I think segments, I did a bunch of contests afterwards, but you don't really care that much about that. You care in the moment. Oh, cool, he won.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice. But whenever you drop a sick segment, like it's forever, I don't know, remembered and, I don't know, immortalized.
It's really a dope thing. You did 2 trips basically that year, one in Edmonton and one in New York.
Yeah.
So it was filmed in 2 trips.
Yeah.
And then park shoots.
Yeah.
How was it for you as a Quebec guy who hasn't done a lot of big jumps? You've had a couple of park shoots with the SK guys, but it was still like medium-sized jumps.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you get to go on the big level 1 park shoots.
Oh man, it was like those park shoot. That was probably the best spring of my entire life. Like, I showed up at Sun Valley. My skis didn't show up, so I just had my ugly green luggage. I think there's still a picture on Facebook. And so I show up. My skis don't show up. We go to the hill the next day. I don't have skis. I think I watched the guys or something like that. And then there's this crazy rail set up, this up box to a whoop-de-doo fun snow box, whatever, to a gap to down box. And I was just like seeing that, and I was like, dude, the tricks I could do on that, this is the most perfect thing I've ever seen. And I ended up doing a bunch of 4-ons, and I don't know, everything was so perfect. It was like a dream come true. Like you like see those in the movies, but then you're actually there, and like it was crazy also to me how like everything we wanted tweaked, we could get it tweaked, because for the resort it's just as important to have it like be perfect and have us look good so they look good. So that was like insane. And then as for the jumps, it was like, I guess I had only hit the Windels jump where I did the first switched up 10, but then the other jumps I ever hit in my life weren't of that caliber of the volcano kicker that we had in Sun Valley. But I wasn't even fazed by it.
The volcano jump.
Yeah.
It was a concept of like you guys in theory being able to land every way you wanted, like on this left,
true, yeah,
far side and right side.
Yeah, yeah.
Did anyone try it, or
not really? I don't think so.
You just hit it straight and we're like, it's too big.
That's enough. That's way enough, dude. Like, calm down, Berman.
Yeah.
That's the stupidest jump I've ever hit, dude. In hindsight, seeing it is like, it's so big. Like, now I'd be imagining myself going switch into that and cutting an edge at the tip of that jump, going like, I don't know how fast, the biggest drop ever, and just, you'd probably die, maybe.
Because there was the jump, and then 100 feet further, there was the landing. And in between, there was nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
Emptiness.
Yeah, exactly. And CeeLo guineaed that with a Cork Sev blunt. And I could not believe that someone would actually try that. Like, to me, that was the scare. Like, I wasn't scared of the jump once you had the speed figured out.
Yeah.
But I was like, how is anybody going to hit this, dude? Like,
yeah.
Why do you build all that and just expect a skier to just send it? It's like, it's suicide.
For the few big jump, which I guess are really like medium-sized jump that I've hit in my life.
Yeah.
I wasn't the one guinea pigging it.
Yeah, guineaing.
Anyways, I wasn't the first one hitting it, so I always had someone with me, like saying, "Hey, follow me."
Yeah.
And the speed will be good. And still, I was stressed. Like,
yeah, for sure.
What if? I don't know how he does it.
I think he's probably a little crazy for sure. Like there's no way you can not be. But I guess he's got a sixth sense or something, and he just knows. He looks at the angle and he's like,
if it feels good.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's
and again, to do that with a cork sev, like if you were to do it, would you do it straight or like doing a 3 or?
I don't know. I think I would have done a straight air back in the day. Now I'd probably do a straight air too. You're right, actually. Yeah, no, I wouldn't do a cork 7, dude. Why would you want to do that? I mean, I get his point. Like he was like, if you do a straight air, you just flail and you ended up like lose your balance or something. I get that, but like, still, like, I don't know, dude. Like, what if you go to the moon and your cork 7 turns into a like cork sev plus 180? You land on your face at the bottom, switch, like, dude. But yeah, I don't know, man.
And now it's time for another sponsor break. Treefort Lifestyles is a company based out of Oregon. They've been involved in the ski industry since their inception in 2011 when they made their first pair of suspenders for skiing. They produce some of the nicest accessories you can find out there for your adventure activities, whether you're going skiing, hiking, or traveling. I've worn their suspenders all winter, and I have to say I love them. They're stylish and they're so comfortable you forget you have them on in the first place. Go check them out at treefortlifestyles.com and use code Mayrand at checkout to get 15% off your order. Support companies that support skiing. Support Treefort Lifestyles.
There's a lot of people that are really involved with what they produce. Like I have Phil in mind where he wants to know the song or see the edit, everything. I think it might not have been the case for you. Was it just like of going to IF3 in the fall and saying like, hey, I'll see my segment for the first time?
Yeah, that's what it was.
What was your reaction?
I was hyped, obviously. I think it showcased me pretty well. And no, I was stoked as hell. But you're right. I didn't have any idea what the song was going to be like. I didn't know anything.
You were kind of sharing it with CeeLo
in a way.
It was kind of like the two segments stood on their own, but they were sharing the same song, right?
Yeah, I think you're right, yeah. Sure, I have like my vision or my visions with like things and all that, but in that case, I don't think I had really a word to say that much. It was like, thanks for having me, guys. Hope you make something cool with those shots. Like, I'm not gonna tell you what to do. Like, oh no, don't do this like that. Oh, put that shot is better. It's like, shut up, kid. Yeah.
Another stupid shot that just came to mind is your closer. It's a fork kink with a elbow in it in New York, and you hit it with a switch up on the first kink.
Yeah. So the trick made the rail as easy as it could be for me, I think. So I got on that, so I didn't have to pop a huge lip slide, so I didn't have to go too fast. Get on that. As soon as I can, I do a front swap, and then I'm sliding with my good leg forward and all that, and hopefully I can just take that C or elbow that's coming up.
So it was really more of how can you make it easier for you rather than saying, I'll do a switch up halfway.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was hyped that it was also going to technically be harder and all that. But like I for me personally, it was just as easy to do on that switch up than doing a lip slide for sure. Yeah. And I was hiking that all alone because Will was doing this other feature on the other side. And so I was just hiking that rail with Ben Cormier, who's also from Quebec, who I had already met before that. And yeah, I was just doing this alone. And at one point he's like, man, the light is getting really bad. Like, I know you can't just decide when you want to get it, but if you could, you'd have to get it right now. And I ended up getting it like 2 or 3 tries after. And I couldn't believe it. When I landed the shot, I was just like so exhausted. Once again, it was a huge battle. And I was like, man, I didn't do all of this for nothing. No way.
I think in the shot, if I remember well, you ride away and then it got tough and you're like, you rolled long enough and then you just fall on your back like, okay, I'm done.
Of course, I probably did, dude. I was probably covered in sweat, freezing, and exhausted. Yeah.
The classic.
Yeah. Oh, I also forgot my boots on that trip. Just like I did when I was younger. I forgot my boots. We were living at Will's house for a bit, and then we ended up driving 3 hours away, and about an hour and a half away, Will's phone rings, and his dad's like, hey, there's a pair of SPK boots over here. And I was like, oh, no. And so we went back. But Will's dad drove halfway, so it wasn't as long.
Okay.
Yeah, he was nice.
So were you like, did you do something to say sorry? Did you buy the beer or
no,
something?
I just said sorry.
Sorry, guys.
I couldn't buy beer. I was only 18. Was I even 8? Yeah, I was 18. And so, yeah, no, I just said sorry, guys.
So after that great year, 2011, going to Colorado, learning a bunch of tricks, filming with Level 1, getting a big segment, 2012, you go with the same plan again of going back to Colorado.
Yeah, the first winter in Colorado ended up being so beneficial to me that was definitely the plan. Just hang out over there all winter and see what happens. And so I went earlier that year and went for the first do tour. It used to be open, so anybody could like sign up. And so
so that's what you did first year. You just went like
and I
registered.
Yeah, exactly. I was living at Pat Goodenough's house. Yeah, registered for the pro. I think JF Cousin ended up making sure that I get in. I didn't know that back in the day, though. But he was like, oh, yeah, this guy's good. I think he had a word to say maybe or something. Because there was like 200 people doing it, but I think there was more people trying to do it or something. Whatever. Anyway, so I ended up getting a spot for that and did my runs. And that was the first time that I met JF Cousin. He was at the top of the contest, and he was like, it was my quali run, and he's like, hey, Bill, you want wax on your skis? And so I'm like, I don't know. I don't need it. Like, I've been fine all practice. He's like, man, you should really wax your skis. Like, it's easier to ditch speed than it is to get speed. I'm like, okay, then, if you say it. Like, it was a snowstorm, obviously. So he whacks my skis, and I do my whole run. I get to the last jump, kangaroo flip, to the moon, land, switch, out of control, ski into the fence, and get a shit score because I didn't really land. And then I muffed up my second run, but turns out my score was good enough to get me a spot into the other stop at Killington.
But why? If you didn't even land it?
Hey, man, I don't know.
Okay.
No, I don't know. No, but honestly, it was just good enough. Like, there was so let's say there's like 200 skiers, and then in Killington, there was like 60 skiers. So, like, all I really had to do at Breck was be in the top 60 or something, I guess.
So you did the Elizabeth Swanee strategy?
Yeah, dude. Like, I just was good enough. So I made it to Killington, and then I do my quali runs in Killington. I had just learned to switch right 10. I had just learned spinning right side that year because I didn't really need to do that before. Like, I might have done a right 5 or right 7, but nothing like crazy. So then...
That's crazy because I remember that year we filmed lines and you were doing switch right 10s to switch left 10s as if it was nothing.
Yeah, I learned it that year.
How'd you go from not doing them to doing the best switch right 10s like in the game?
I was
with
young,
Wallish
man.
in my mind?
I was just young. Like, I learned the first switch right 9 at Breckenridge for my do run because I had to do... There was 4 jumps, so I was like, I got to spin all 4 ways. Anyway, so yeah, I learned switch right 9 at do at Breck, and then I learned switch right 10 at do at Killington. And I remember Bishop coached me for that one. I was setting super hard and always being out of control, and it was like, just chill, get your grab, and then just tense every muscle in your body, and you'll see it'll turn. You know what you're doing, and ended up working super good. Then my switch 10s were on lock at that point. So I didn't make it into finals at Killington, but Charles Gagne got hurt and dropped out of finals, so I got his spot. So then I ended up making it at the other do tour because otherwise I wouldn't. So I made it to the final do tour at Snow Basin, and then at that point I was pretty much on it. Like, I had practiced my big tricks all winter at Breck, and I just got a good run, made it to finals, finished 6th, and that's when I really made a name in the contest scene, and that's when Team Canada picked me up also.
With a dope run.
Yeah, I love that run, actually. I was doing the 4 onto the down rail, which weren't really done on down bars in contests.
Yeah, rail tricks and slope style were still
they were still kind of stock. Yeah, you're right.
4 on to switch.
Yeah.
Switch on K-Fed with a transfer.
Yeah.
To rodeo out.
Yeah, Misty 5.
Misty 5. Switch right 10. Switch left up 10.
Yeah. Yeah, that was it.
Bolts.
And then the second run, I muffed up the Misty 5, so I didn't have enough speed. I did a switch right 9, and I did the biggest kang of my life. The shot's on YouTube. Some guy filmed his screen.
Yeah, I think I saw
But
it.
yeah, that was I'd probably get so hurt if I did that today.
And now it's time for another sponsor break. J Skis is a company based out of Burlington, Vermont. Their business model of making limited edition graphic skis that are sold online directly to consumer is super dope. As a fan of original graphics, I love it. They put a lot of effort into making great skis, but also in making them look super good. I finally had the chance to try out my vacation skis this spring, and I gotta say, I love them. They were so playful that after shooting a jump, I had to go in front of the lens and hit it myself. Knowing how much time and effort Jason Leventhal and his team put into each ski they produce, I'm really looking forward to their upcoming releases. Support companies that support skiing. Support J Skis. So 2012 was a great year.
Mm-hmm.
You go from not being on the competition circuit to getting a top 6.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I made a name on the contest scene that year, and I was still filming at that point. I remember. Here we go for another story. I'm at Do Tour and I'm like telling JF Kusan that there was another story too before that.
There's a story inside the story.
The
story.
At Killington there was another story.
Go ahead.
Okay. So Bishop was booking all my flights on my Armada travel budget, and so he's like, I was supposed to fly into some airport for the Killington Do Tour. But he was like, dude, if you go to Boston, you'll save money for sure. Like, it's a huge airport. There's a bunch of flights. I was like, okay, whatever. Like, you know best. So, and he's like, just tell JF to go pick you up at Boston. I can't believe I was expecting JF to drive like 2 hours to go pick me up. So anyway, he's like, yeah, just tell JF to go pick you up in Boston. I'm like, okay, whatever.
And
I barely knew that guy.
Yeah.
Like, barely knew JF. And so I land in Boston, and I'm like, hey, JF, you think you could pick me up? I'm on my MacBook because I still didn't have a phone at that point. I'm on my MacBook trying to talk to people and, like, figure it out. And JF's not coming, so I find a Greyhound that's going to bring me somewhere over there.
Because he didn't reply, or he was just like, nope.
I can't remember, but he was probably just like, nope. Like, practice is tomorrow. What the fuck are you doing? Like, sorry, dude, I got to take care of the team or whatever. And so I find a Greyhound. I spend the whole night in the Greyhound, land at this like corner store at 4 a.m., sleep on the bench of the corner store that was open 24/7 because I couldn't call a taxi because all the taxis were closed till like 7 a.m. 7 a.m. comes, I call a taxi, I ask them to drive me to Killington. I get to Killington. I show up for the first time meeting everyone from Team Canada. I just show up at like 7:30 a.m. So tired, smelly in my old like travel clothes and whatnot. And they're just like, okay, let's go. We're going to the hill. It's practice today. And dude, if you look at my Killington Do Tour picture that they took, I'm just the biggest bags under my eyes, dude.
Right.
I was so tired. And so, yeah, that's the funny Killington story of expecting JF to come pick me up in Boston. And Bishop, who was like, yeah, you're going to save like $50. Just go to Boston. Fuck, dude.
So was that the story inside the story? Or
Yeah, so that was the story of the Killington Do Tour. That's the funny story. And then the funny story for the Snow Basin Do Tour is that, so I tell JF, yeah, I'm going to Japan like right after this, so you got to go drop me off at the airport. And he's like, okay, sure. So I tell him my time. I'm like, I got to be at the airport at 6:50. Show up at the airport at like 5:50. Sign it or check in. Can't check in. I'm like, dude, why is this not working? Try again. Doesn't work. I go see the girl at the counter. She's like, yeah, it's because your flight took off at like 5:45 when your flight's landing at 6:50. It's not taking off at 6:50. So I was like, oh my God, I just missed a flight that Armada booked me for the trip to Japan. That's probably $2,000. I just
With
missed
level 1.
I just missed that flight. Yeah. With level 1. And so then at that point I had a cell phone. And so I try and call Bishop. Bishop's on the flight. I can't call him. So I had this other phone number who was Hans, who works at Armada, who's high up there. And so I tell him I missed your flight and blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, well, can you like figure it out or reroute it or whatever or something. And it was super complicated because it was actually my fault. I missed the flight. It wasn't some like technical difficulty. But I think I ended up like almost crying at the girl at check-in, and she was just like, okay, we'll put you on tomorrow's flight. And so I ended up making a pretty bad impression on that trip, but everything worked out fine in the end. But the guys ended up building a bunch of setup in Japan where I didn't have to shovel, basically.
Just like us yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Well, I thought you guys were doing an April Fool's, dude. It was freaking raining. Why'd you go hit a rail?
We talked about that a lot this winter, you and me, of you got to travel the world back and forth 1,000 times, and you never skied that much POW.
No.
And that's a great example. You get to go on a trip with level 1 to Japan.
Yeah.
And what did you do?
I shoveled rails and hit them. I was hitting this rail and some guy was filming me.
How was the Japan experience and that urban trip for you?
It was amazing, dude. I really liked it. The food was super different, super good. We lived in this like pretty luxurious hotel. I was rooming with Wallish. Like I didn't really know him, so I was all like in awe, like holy shit, that's Tom Wallish. And then yeah, it was just like cool, and we got a bunch of shots. The features were fun. Everything we hit was fun. We hit this like super high speed wall ride that was so much fun to ski because it was like it felt like you were sticking to the wall, you know, like it's not a roller coaster, but this thingamajig in a circus that it just spins super fast and you're sticking to the wall the whole time. That's how it felt hitting that wall ride. You're just like stuck on the wall, like levitating.
Yeah, that shot is so gnarly. We looked back at it together, and you get towed by a car. Yeah. And I don't know how fast you're going, but you're going really fast.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
You were telling me when we were looking at that shot of like, man, my mom, if she would have saw that, like, your kid is at the other side of the world jumping into a wall.
Yeah, of course, like in hindsight, looking at all that stuff, I'm just like, yeah, like you're saying, on the other side of the planet, like going 70 kilometers an hour behind a car, jumping onto a wall when there's this rope that's dangling from the car that my ski might get caught into or something. So yeah, it was like, it wasn't sketchy, but like there was potential for having a disastrous situation. Yeah.
One of the craziest spots I've ever seen. Well, not that. Anyways, one really crazy spot is is it a water slide or is it just a normal slide? Like
it's
Japanese have Japanese have they have funky park for kids. Like we've seen it in the traveling circus episodes and in other stuff. Like they always have the craziest features.
Yeah. I don't know actually if it was a water slide or just a slide, but I know it was a slide and I know it was long as hell and it curved super sharp right at the end.
Yeah, a sea slide of like 100 feet.
I don't even want to say a number because I have no idea, to be honest, but it took me a while. It took Wallish like 10 to 15 tries, but it took me like, I want to say 40 to 50 tries, and I was hyped I got it though.
I think it was in the Sunny trailer because that was the year of Sunny. And I think in the shot we see maybe Decker maybe it's a OC speaking to a Japanese guy and like speaking in English and saying, hey, we don't understand anything.
Yeah, probably was. And
I think there's a shot of you guys getting arrested.
Yeah.
What was the deal with that?
We were kind of sketched out by it because the cops were saying that it was like, I think they thought we were like illegal immigrants or something, because we ended up having to go back to the hotel to show them our passports. Like that's what they really wanted to see, was our passports. Like, did you guys get in here illegally or not? And so once that was cleared, it was all fine, but it was kind of sketchy at one point for sure. And I don't know if, I feel like we were in the cop car at one point. Like all the boys were.
There's a shot of you guys getting.
Okay, yeah, that's not a dream then. Okay, cool. Yeah, we did drive back to the hotel in the cop car. So
it was
it's a great memory. Yeah, my mom would have freaked out though. Just send her a screenshot.
It was not about getting you guys to the police station. It was like, let's go to your hotel. I want to see your passport.
They really wanted to see our passports. Like I remember that was the big deal. And then we didn't end up going back to the spot. It was a flat down. And I wasn't too bummed because when I saw the rail, I was like, oh yeah, back 3 swap, easy. And then we ended up like hitting it like a couple times before the cops showed up. And I was like, oh no, I'm not going to do it. I can't do it on that rail. And so then I didn't have to like not live up to my expectations because I just didn't have the opportunity. So I was hyped.
So 2012, you get on the do tour circuit, get on the comp circuit, go again to Colorado, film not a full segment with level 1, but still you get on that Japan segment and get more shots. Then is it 2013 when you really like become officially pro, as we say, or I guess for people's perspective, being in level 1 for 2 years, you were at that point, but
I
is
remember
it 2013 when you started like being in X Games and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, actually at the end of 2012, that's the thing. I'm like, I feel like I'm like, I don't know, everything feels blurry because I remember I broke my ribs at one point, but I can't, because I know in 2013 I had a blown knee, so it's got to be in 2012. But then in 2012, yeah, so it was at the end of the year. So exactly, yeah. So Japan trip and then go back home for a bit, and then I went to X Games Europe in Ting.
In 2012.
Yeah, that was my first X Games was in Europe, and I got 5th.
Damn.
Yeah.
So 6th at the final do tour and 5th at X Games.
Yeah, exactly. So I was getting like pretty legit results. And so, yeah, that was my first X Games. So I was getting pretty big on the comp scene. Team Canada knew that I had a bunch of potential. Oh, yeah, let's look at it. No way. You found
little
it.
Break.
Dude, I haven't seen that in forever. I was hyped on the first rail
Switch
trick.
to on, pretzel, switch up, back to.
Damn, I'm so stoked to see that, dude.
Back to. Into lip to. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The first rail trick is
the
pretty
good old
tech.
days. No on that. Yeah.
Kang.
There we go.
Kang Dub Japan, which is pretty cool. Switch
Speed
right
check.
10.
That was sketchy. Switch right on that was sketchy, dude. The speed was so hard to figure out.
Switched up 10, I guess. Yeah. The jumps didn't look big.
Not that much.
Then switch on, switch up. Boom.
I was hyped.
Clean run.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I was stoked on that run.
So your first X Games experience is not even in Aspen. It's in Teen.
No, it's not. Yeah, you're right. And so, yeah, that was that. And then I broke my ribs right after that. Not many people know that, but we had a training camp with Canada in Whistler, and we were hitting the airbag, and it, switch 12s and 14s were like starting to be a thing. Like Gepper did it at the last do tour in Snow Basin. So I was trying to learn switch 14s on that airbag, and I always wanted to go a little bit faster just to get a little bit more time. And like a freaking idiot, dude, I just went too fast and landed right at the edge of the airbag. And there's like this like lip so that you don't ski off the bag, but I ended up landing on my feet and my skis caught in the lip, and I flipped over and broke a bunch of my ribs. I think 3 of them. And then one of those punctured my lung, and blood was going in my lungs. And I remember Vinny Gagne was there, and Charles was there, and ABM was there. Godbout must have been there too, I think, and JF and Tobin. And they all thought I was going to die. Like, they legit thought I was going to die because I couldn't, like, breathe normally, and I was struggling, and I hit my head. I was saying a bunch of bullshit too. Like, it was apparently super crazy. I remember none of all of that. And then I got helied out of Whistler straight to Vancouver because I had to be taken care of like right away. And I just woke up at Vancouver hospital like nothing had happened, and I had no idea what happened.
And you were feeling good?
I was feeling pretty good, yeah. Like I had a tube in my lungs that was pumping the blood out, making sure none was going back in there. And yeah, then I couldn't fly back home. I had to stay in Whistler area for like 2 weeks because my lungs could collapse if I flew, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I met Riley Lebo, and I hung out at his place in Squamish for 2 weeks. It was nice. And so I bought a guitar over there too, and I ended up playing a bunch of guitar. That's where it kind of started a bit.
That's dope.
Yeah, not many people know that story though.
Yeah, I remember I was in Whistler at the same time, and yeah? I heard of that, and I was shook. Because a couple of years prior, CR died, and then Sarah died.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy fuck. Like, what
sport is this?
Yeah. And then like,
for sure.
Like, we never knew the details of Sarah, how it happened, but I know it was like training in a pipe. So
yeah.
She wasn't trying like a 200-foot jump, like crazy stuff. It was like another day at the office,
yeah,
right?
it's bad luck.
Yeah.
For sure.
Man, same thing for you.
Yeah.
Airbag is supposed to be safe, and then you end up like...
Yeah, I kind of hit it like a retard. But, but yeah, like for sure, you're right. It happens so fast, you know, like, and that's why I'm much more worried now when I ski, is because I've seen a bunch of things, and I know that accidents are accidents and they happen super quickly, no matter how precautious you can be.
After that, were you off on the airbag?
Yeah, I hated the airbag after that. I couldn't trust it, and Team Canada knew that, so we didn't really session those anymore. But I wasn't scared of skiing. Like, I wasn't scared of getting hurt. I just didn't want to hit the airbag.
Was Team Canada sketched out because of your accident?
With bags and all that? I don't think so. I think they were just like, well, like, yeah, it's going to happen if you, like, gap the whole bag. Like, this is not some freaking fence to flat landing. Like, you got to land on it, dude.
So, talking about that year, it's really a crazy good year.
Yeah.
You go from not competing to 6th at Dew Tour, 5th at X Games, Japan trip with level 1 in between.
Yeah.
And you
officially on Team Canada.
Officially on Team Canada. And you, on the side, filmed also another segment with ESK, still in Quebec.
Oh, yeah, true. They had we got some springtime skiing in before I broke my ribs. Yeah, so yeah, I forgot about that. You're right. I think it was one park shoot in Montreal, and then we did a couple of urban spots, but it wasn't nothing too fancy.
Yeah. One shot that still comes to mind is your lip to in Saint-Élie-de-Castin.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
which is kind of crazy with such a sketchy rail.
Yeah, and the stairs on that thing are like, it's crazy. It's like they're built of the sticky side of duct tape, dude. Like, you land on those and you can eat shit, especially if you don't have momentum. So yeah, they're sketchy, and the rail was super wobbly too.
So this is it for episode 17. It was really good chatting with Alex. Be on the lookout for part 2 dropping next week. Big thank you to this episode's sponsors once again: Access Board Shop, Treefort Lifestyles, J Skis, Dic Anns Restaurant, and Planks Clothing. Peace.